Here with more now is former U.S. Ambassador to NATO and to China, Nicholas Burns. Ambassador, pleasure to have you here. As Laura mentioned, President Trump is calling out other countries on social media again this morning. He said the Strait is blocked and other countries should just buy oil from the U.S. or, quote, build up some delayed courage, go to the Strait and just take it, adding you'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us. What's your reaction to that? Will that kind of tough talk work for Trump this time?
I don't think it'll work with the European allies in NATO. I don't think it will work with our East Asian allies, Japan and South Korea. Here's the problem. It's the contradictory messages that you've been talking about for the last couple of minutes. If, in fact, this Wall Street Journal article is accurate, that the president is thinking about ending the war without resolving the problem of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, in that situation, Iran would emerge as the winner of this war. If Iran remains the toll keeper, and they can extort countries for access to the free transit, to the transit of oil and gas from the Strait of Hormuz, they actually end up with a tactical victory, and we cannot allow that. We can't allow this regime in Iran to have that kind of controlling influence. And I think for the president, this is a very tough and unproductive message about the allies. You know, put yourself in the shoes of Germany or Italy or the United Kingdom. You weren't told that the war was going to begin. You weren't let in on the strategy at the beginning. And the public opinions and parliaments of those countries have turned against this war. You're all democracies. And now that the United States is facing a considerable problem in the Strait of Hormuz, the president wants our NATO allies to save him. They are willing to come in and police an agreement that would be conducted through diplomacy to open the Strait of Hormuz, which is a considerable commitment because it might be months-long naval contributions to keep the oil and gas flowing. But to ask them to come into a war they didn't start, they don't believe in, it's just not right. And it gets to the essence of NATO, and that is that we are a defensive alliance. I'm a former ambassador to NATO. I was at NATO on 9/11 when we were attacked. When a NATO ally is attacked, then, of course, the expectation is that all the allies will defend that country as the allies defended us on 9/11. This is a very different situation where we've attacked a third country outside the NATO alliance. It's a hard argument to make, and it's not going to be persuasive to somehow think that the Europeans need to come and bail us out.
Clearly, this war has had significant impact on the U.S. relationship with those Western allies. It's also had an impact on U.S. adversaries, or at least competitors. Secretary Hegseth this morning acknowledging that the U.S. is aware of what China is doing to help Iran. And just in the last few minutes, in fact, China and Pakistan teamed up and released this 5-point initiative to restore peace in the region, calling for a stop to the fighting, peace talks, securing civilian infrastructure, and opening the strait. What do you make of that?
The Chinese have been, in a way, a loser in this war, but they may be a country that can gain, unfortunately, from the end game. They've been a loser because they really have not stood up for either Iran, their partner, or Venezuela back in January. So if you're a friend to China, China is not going to be there for you. I didn't expect that China would intervene militarily, but I expected them to be more active diplomatically in opposing the war than they have. I think that betrays the fact that China probably values its capital investments in the Gulf Arab states more than the 1.3 million barrels a day it was importing from Iran. So in that sense, China has been a fickle friend to both the Iranians and Venezuelans. But this statement today in Beijing from Wang Yi, the Chinese foreign minister, and the Pakistani foreign minister, is interesting. And it may turn out to be consequential because China is going to try to be part of the end game and try to position itself to be the leader of stability, the protector of the global order, the anti-war country, juxtaposing themselves to the United States, which has invaded both Venezuela and Iran. And that would be hypocritical for China to do that. China is not a peace-loving country. It's also a country that doesn't really support the international system in every way, but they're going to position themselves that way because they're going to try to portray President Trump and the United States as a rogue nation in the world. So in essence, we've given them kind of an opening, and they're taking that opening.
These are dynamics we'll be watching closely. Nick Burns, former ambassador to NATO and to China, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Anna.